RiverOtic.com.
Project Hail Mary's killing it at the box office. It's got great word of mouth. And hopefully it holds on. It's got to make north of 600 million to break even. Not too dissimilar to Superman, except the budget for Project Hail Mary was smaller than Superman. But it is certainly the feel-good movie of the year. And as I said on Friday Night Tights, it is a complete rejection of the nihilism and postmodernism of science fiction. Everything's apocalyptic, and Ryan Gosling is saying the same thing. That's the reason he took the part and got it made, was because it was something hopeful and fun. And it certainly has dark themes behind it, but it's a fun, thrilling, hopeful adventure. Can't wait to see it again. This is why I do this. We find movies like this. I get happy. I buy the 4K. I watch them again. That's why I do this. This is what I keep looking for. Hollywood will learn no lesson from this. Zero. There's a couple of reasons I want to mention this article because it's freaking hilarious. Now, as you guys know or may not know, and if you don't know, go over to After Hours and go see Drinker's interview with Andy Weir. It's great. So it's made the rounds. And from the Hollywood Reporter, we hear that Project Hail Mary author Andy Weir says Paramount rejected his Star Trek pitch. Their shows are shit. No lies detected. I wouldn't be surprised at all if when the dust settles, if David Ellison has half a brain, which I think he does, he goes right back to Andy Weir and goes, "You think I can hear that Star Trek pitch again?" I don't think it should be a movie. I think it should be a TV show. We've talked about that. Star Trek is not necessarily a cinematic franchise. I know the movies in the 80s were part of the tapestry of the 80s, but it was because you brought back a series that should have never been canceled in the first place, a fandom that kept it alive for years. You know, kind of like if they would have gone back to Firefly within 10 years. Right. If they'd have gone back to Firefly within 10 years, it would have had a lot more energy behind it and maybe it would have had something. But for those of you who weren't alive, Star Trek's ratings were great in the 60s, even for the shitty third season of the original series. And it was canceled for a lot of reasons, but it wasn't for lack of people watching. And that proved that beyond the shadow of a doubt when it was the most watched show in syndication. I remember watching the motion picture when I was, 8 or 9? And it's the first time in a theater I experienced people applauding when a character came on the screen. I vividly remember when McCoy shows up, people cheering, and Spock showing up and people cheering. And, you know, I didn't even fully understand Star Trek back then. It was just a space adventure with aliens that I liked, the coolest looking ship ever. So can we get back to that? I don't know. But back to Andy Weir, the author of the blockbuster film, says Paramount turned down his Star Trek idea and suggests that modern Star Trek shows have lost their way. Suggested that. He says they're shit. They're shit. They're absolute shit. The author of Project Hail Mary is firing photon torpedo, a Paramount Star Trek efforts. Best-selling writer Andy Weir criticized modern Trek shows while on the Critical Drinker podcast. So I do want to point out, although they fuck up later, still, for the first time, guys, for the first time ever, the Critical Drinker is named in a major trade. The #1 critic in the world, noted chud, most influential critic in the world. You don't have to ask me. Just ask people within Hollywood. They were forced to mention him. It's like the Daily Prophet named Voldemort. Last week, and even revealed he pitched a Trek show that was shot down by Paramount. So now we know Trek was pitched by Seth MacFarlane. They got rid of Brian Fuller. Roger Avery offered to work there. Andy Weir, all shot down to keep Alex Kurtzman. So if you ever think, you know, in Hollywood, the cream rises to the top, the best of the best are there. This is supposed to be the pinnacle of art and cinema and commoditizing it. And these people know what they're doing. That's why they make those millions of dollars, because they are better than all of us at figuring this stuff out.
You are wrong.
The topic began with the podcast host, Will Jordan, having to actually say his name, saying how refreshing the box office hit Project Hail Mary has been, especially for the audiences who grew up on Star Trek and now suffer from a lack of such sci-fi efforts nowadays.
Yeah, I saw one, I forgot what it was. He said, I wish I could remember who it was because I can't remember, but he said something, he was an analyst, and he said, like, all modern science fiction TV shows and movies have been heavily influenced by Star Trek, by the original Star Trek, except for the current batch of Star Trek shows.
Yes. Which is
At first, Weir left that comment open to interpretation, but then added,
I'm Gen X, so my sci-fi was like Star Trek classic original series Star Trek reruns.
Yeah.
And Lost in Space reruns. There wasn't really much in the way of sci-fi that was like airing at the time until we got to Next Gen, and by then I was already heading off to college.
I mean, you could add in, like, for me anyway, Doctor Who, but that was on PBS and not everybody got to see it. Later, Jordan brought up the divisive Starfleet Academy, which Paramount Plus recently confirmed will end after its already shot second season.
Yeah, I think we can probably safely never talk about it again now.
It's gone, baby. It's all gone.
Jordan said his advice to Paramount is to decanonize everything Trek from Enterprise onward. As much as I'd be fine with Star Trek Picard season 3 remaining canon, if we have to lose that to just put everything in the Kelvin timeline, absolutely. That's the only way you're going to fix it. The problem is willingness. It's all a matter of willingness.
Okay, you're a little more severe than I am. I'll give you my opinion, and I'm just a consumer. I like Strange New Worlds. I think it's pretty good. Okay. I didn't hate Enterprise. I thought it was kind of weird, but the other ones they can, Lower Decks I thought was entertaining and fun. All the others they can go.
Strange New Worlds it's terrible, Mr. Weir. It's shit. I will give you this. Akiva Goldsman is a better writer than Alex Kurtzman, but he's a better, shittier writer than Alex Kurtzman. And I do think Akiva Goldsman tries. I think he tries. I just don't think he's good enough, because I watched Akiva Goldsman's Picard season 1 and 2, and everything's just a ripoff. We've already gotten a musical episode, which was a ripoff of Buffy. Now we're going to get a puppet episode, which is a ripoff of Angel. And they're trying to make Star Trek Buffy, and they need to stop.
So I pitched a Star Trek show to Paramount. And I had the showrunner, I was in a Zoom with the showrunners of all of the shows, and I'm just like pitching them my show idea. And so I actually, spent a long time talking to Alex Kurtzman, and I know I don't like a lot of the new Trek, but I have to say he as a person is a really nice guy. So it's kind of interesting. I feel a little bad for him, but at the same time, those shows are shit. And,
don't make me like him, okay? Don't don't do that to me.
He is a nice guy. But they didn't accept my pitch, so fuck them.
I love it. And listen, that's how they all feel behind the scenes. Crime 101 author Don Winslow hit back on Weir, writing, "Congrats on the success of Project Hail Mary and The Martian. I'm a real fan, but when you have your moment to use it to crap on other writers' work, for record, Alex Kurtzman is a visionary writer, creator, producer, and you owe him an apology." Don Winslow, your movie flopped, by the way, and Alex Kurtzman vision comes out of his sphincter, and Weir gives him an apology. He didn't owe him shit. Listen. We need to bring shame back to Hollywood. We need to bring shame back. It is shame that leads to change. It is shameful to be homeless drug addicts. I felt very shameful. I should have. It led me to change. If I wrote a TV show and I was paid millions of dollars and the premiere episode was beaten by a Spock action figure on YouTube in concurrent viewers, I'd be embarrassed. That the critical drinkers, 3 or 4 videos on Star Trek garnered more views than the entire season of Star Trek. I'd be fucking embarrassed. Paramount should be embarrassed. They've let this go for so long. They have taken their crown jewel of Star Trek, one of the greatest American IPs and stories ever fucking told, and pretty much killed it dead, murdered by death. And then, after all that, they're like, hey, let's make it super gay. That'll have the broadest appeal. I can promise you. Starfleet Academy didn't bring in a single fucking subscriber to Paramount Plus. And it's not even worth, I'm not joking about this. It's not worth the driver space, which is costly. Listen, Andy, because you talked to one of my friends, we're like this close. Andy, buddy, I understand why you apologize. Like I do. I don't think you needed to at all. You're the king right now, but I understand why you did. You got to play in that playground, and this could be associated with he's aligning with the chuds. And this is where Hollywood is stupid. They'll see that, they'll not work with him, and then they won't get more successful stuff. And then they'll wonder why they suck. Instead of going, Alex Kurtzman does suck. He ruined Star Trek for a decade. The dude just sucks. Might be the nicest guy in the world. I don't really care. I have heard otherwise about being the nicest guy in the world, by the way. I have heard the exact opposite. I've heard he's an opportunist and a backstabbing mofo. The apology was not necessary, but I completely understand why he did it. So he's all open letter to Alex Kurtzman. Hey, Alex, Andy Weir, I'm posting to apologize about stuff I said on the Critical Drinkers podcast. I feel like my quotes were taken out of context as salacious sound bites. I hope you saw the other parts where I said how much I like you in person as a nice guy. I was trying to be funny, but in retrospective, it comes off as disrespectful and mean. So I'm sorry. I was also trying to be self-deprecating, but they don't like my pitch. So fuck them. But I'm a blunt person. Always have been. And it's been 10 years since the media cared what I had to say or anything about it. I will be back in my cave writing novels and no one will care again. Anyway, if you want to talk about it in real time, if you want to rip me a new one, I'm happy to hop on a Zoom call with you. That's, you know what? That's manly behavior. I'm going to just say that's manly behavior. He didn't need to apologize, though. But the end where he's like, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Andy, buddy, you're a really good writer. I've read The Martian and I've read Project Hail Mary, and I'm going to probably listen to that book a lot. Ray Porter does a great job reading it, by the way. And it's the story we need right now, and it's the story that Star Trek could have been if Alex Kurtzman could swallow his pride, which he never could, to bring in people that were better than him. His idea for Star Trek was to not make it Star Trek from the get-go. It's to make it Star Wars, to make it Marvel, and it never found an identity. So as I've said before, Hollywood's obsession over identity has led them to lose their identity. Hollywood has no identity right now. They're in an identity crisis because things that were absolutely working without question don't work anymore. And the reason they don't work is because they've lost a generation. They've alienated half the country. They elevated writers who don't have the talent to do so. They are casting writers, casting producers, casting directors instead of hiring them based on meritocracy. We just saw that with Black Snape, one of the worst casting of the century, and people are tired of it. And there's so much more entertainment out there. Hollywood competes against itself. So now we've had more access than ever to the full library of Hollywood, to the point where people spend a half an hour looking on the menu of Netflix and not even picking anything. It's hard to explain, but back in the 80s, the fact that like I could have seen any movie I wanted whenever would have been the greatest thing ever. I probably would have gotten tired of it. It's the same thing that happens when any medium goes digital. It makes it disposable. So the problem is now you compete against yourself. The audience is literally your competition now. Somebody could fire up a camera, go on TikTok, go on Instagram, go on YouTube, Twitch for some reason. No normal people go on Twitch, Kick, Rumble, whatever, and hang out with their friends and entertain themselves. And as I've said often, my go-to is probably a stream. Unless there's like a banger show out, the first thing I do is I'll just fire up a stream to put on in the background and do whatever I'm doing. But if you want to nail it to one thing that the media will never talk about, it's the alienating the audience.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.